new to the channel, my name's Dino, this is my partner Adam, and our fur baby Twyla. We love travelling in our Ford Transit camper van, travelling in our Jimny and doing tent camping, and occasionally staying at an Airbnb. So if you like free camping, paid camping, camping tips and tricks, camp cooking ideas, and the good old country bakery, you've come to the right channel. So if you like what you see, press the subscribe button and come with us as we travel Australia one town at a time. Now let's get into this episode.
So in this episode, guys, we're recapping the second 6 months of 2025.
We have got a lot to fit into this episode. If you haven't already seen the first 6 months, go back and watch that episode. It's going to be jam-packed, so let's get straight into this episode. We are in Inglewood and we've been wanting to come here for a little while now. There are so many amazing antique shops in this town. I think we counted 5. This was the biggest one that we went into. It had some fantastic buys in there. If you're ever looking for antiques or just something quirky for your home, this is a town you need to come see. And they were even nice enough to let Twyla come in. The second reason we wanted to come to this town, because we knew they had some amazing buildings. This one we found across the road from the town hall. What we didn't know is we had recently watched a TV show starring this house and the owners, and we're lucky enough that we found the owner out the front picking olives to make olive oil, and we got to have a chat with her. So definitely go back and watch this episode if you haven't seen it and find out a little bit of history about this house. All right, so we've made it to the Caravan Park, which is just at the end of the main street. It's Inglewood Motel and Caravan Park. So if you haven't got a camper van like us or a caravan, you can get a motel at the front of the caravan park. We were staying on a powered site. This place had a dog wash, it was pet friendly. It even had a little aviary. If you're camping with a whole heap of friends during winter or something like that when it's raining, they had a massive camp kitchen / camp lounge, I shall call it, with a pool table, a stage and everything. It even had a canara right in the middle with all the lounges around it. We were camping at the back of the park where there was lots of horses and different animals on the farm next door, so you really felt like you were amongst it. We showed you how to make baked potatoes in your air fryer with all your favourite toppings. They turned out amazing. In the morning we had breakfast at the bakery, and the guy that owned it was nice enough to bring out one of his Italian specialities, and we got to have a taste.
So we're at the Inglewood Eucalyptus Museum.
So this was voluntary run for a small fee. You can go in there and they teach you how to make eucalyptus oil. We found it so interesting, and what was even more interesting is how many different things you can use eucalyptus for. They even had a shop in there. I don't know if they've got it there at the moment. We definitely did some shopping and we really enjoyed our time in the town. In this week's episode, we are in Mortlake, and we have got the Jimny behind us because our van is getting its regular service. So we thought we'll get an Airbnb. We're actually just staying literally right there. This Airbnb was amazing in the cold weather. It was so warm and cozy, but at the same time, nice and spacious. It just had a really homely vibe, and we really enjoyed our time staying here. And the best part, it was pet friendly. We went to Max Hotel for lunch, which was built in 1859. They let us take Twyla through the back gate and we ate outside. We got some really great meals, and I even enjoyed a nice frothy. Took a walk around their famous Tea Tree Lake. This was so beautiful, and also this is where the caravan park is located. There is so many different variety of birds around this lake, so if you're a bird watcher, you definitely want to come here. We watched the sunset before heading back to the Airbnb, where I whipped up a pea and ham soup. It was the first time I'd made this, and it ended up turning out a treat. Whilst we were cooking dinner, I put on the fire and we sat back with a couple of drinks, and just look how this turned out. I think even Twyla was impressed. I had downloaded a map that shows you where all the heritage buildings are in town, so you can walk around and find out information about all these old buildings and churches. On the way out of town, we found these little ponies, or maybe they were tiny horses, We're still not sure, but they were so cute, and we spent quite a bit of time checking them out. Twyla wasn't too sure about them. She thought we had a new pet. We went and checked out this old bluestone building, which was the old mill. They had the old chimney stack, and you could look in through the windows and check it all out. On this episode, I left Twyla and Adam at home and met up with my youngest brother Lee, and we headed to a place been wanting to show me for a very long time. It was a bit of a drive in, and it was a bit sketchy at some times. I was a little bit worried in our van, thinking, am I going to get bogged or is anything going to happen? But no, we got to the campsite, and I'll let Lee tell you where we are.
So this is the Trawool Reservoir campsite.
I'll be cooking lunch for us today, and then Lee tonight is going to be cooking dinner. But before we could even think about cooking, we needed firewood, and with Lee, he does not mess around. Lee used to be an arborist, and when he gets his chainsaw out, you know you're going to have a good fire. Lee still wants more, don't you?
That's just to get the fire going.
Oh my Lord. It was very cold and wintry that weekend, so I thought the best thing to do is cook Mum's curried sausages in the camp oven over the coals. Thought Lee would like this, and I definitely think I won him over. It definitely filled the spot and kept us warm. What do you reckon, Lee? Nice?
That was fantastic.
Well, you haven't tasted it yet.
No, I haven't, but I can smell it, and I'm very hungry.
Now it was Lee's turn to cook up a storm. He was going to cook a beef Guinness stew in the camp oven over the coals. Yes, it did turn out good, and it was the most perfect meal to have. Definitely warmed up the insides, and it was just what we needed on a night like this. Also in the episode, I'll give you a walk around of the free campsite. There's a few things we did in this episode that I didn't realise you weren't meant to do, so don't follow by my example. I will show you the rules in a second of this place, but it was a great place to go to. Just definitely go there when there's plenty of daylight, because you can get very easily lost in this place. There are no drop toilets or running water, so you've got to be totally self-sufficient when you're out here, but damn, it was a good spot, and we had a great time here. There's a lot more to this episode, so make sure if you like it, go back and check it out. Alright guys, have we found the most unique Airbnb we have ever stayed in? 3 bedrooms, it had 2 bathrooms, it had a beautiful massive Canara downstairs. We slept downstairs as well, and then upstairs you had the kitchen, the main bedroom, and it was just a beautiful house. And then over here, look who we've got here. We've got Melissa. Hi. And Jen. Now, a couple more things. One, it is forecast to rain pretty much all weekend. In the morning, we headed straight out. Even though it was a really crappy day, we headed out to check out the beaches. Not that we got out of the car, but then all of a sudden we saw a wombat. Then Jen and myself were out like tourists taking photos. The poor little thing looked so cold. It ran off into the bushes, and hopefully it got warm in its burrow. After that, we headed to the local cafe where we ordered some delicious meals and stayed out of the rain as it was still pouring down. We got to meet the owner, who gave Twyla a big pat and a treat, and the girls found some games to play to pass the time while we waited for the rain to stop. We also took a drive to Fleet Winery, where we had a tasting and enjoyed a platter of local foods from around the area. And even though we weren't having the best weather, we still take you out to a few of the different beaches around the area, so you know what you can come and enjoy in the warmer weather. Melissa, Jen and myself all took it in turns to cook dinner in the Airbnb. You'll have to go back and watch the episode to see exactly what we cooked. Well guys, this week we are in El Dorado.
Victorian El Dorado.
And it's a pretty tiny place. And talk about tiny, the very first place we visited was the local pub, which was supposedly meant to be the most tiniest pub in Victoria, the famous McAvoy Tavern. This tavern had such an awesome outdoor area. They even had a fire burning so you could sit around it and eat. We got to meet the owner, Kelly. We had a bit of a chat with her, and also I tried one of their famous palmies. It was awesome, and it definitely got the King Dino's thumbs up. We visited the local potter and learned a bit about how he makes all these beautiful creations, and learned a little bit about the back history of his life. We stayed at the local caravan park, which was right in town. It was a g'day park, and I whipped up something different for dinner. Because it was still cool, I made a Thai pumpkin soup. If you want the recipe, go back and watch the episode. All right, so where have we come to, Adam?
So we're at the Dorado dredge. So this whole system, really, the dredging system, from what I understand, it was put like in a paddock, low-lying paddock area.
Yeah.
Where they would then filter through the rock water, and this will dredge out or separate the rock from like the gold and the tin.
We've headed to a little town called Blackwood.
And our first stop is the Garden of St. Earth.
We headed into their cafe and had some morning tea in the garden amongst all the trees. There was lots of wildlife with birds flying around. Twyla wasn't too impressed with the birds. We definitely had to get some scones, and we got some carrot cake. Besides the actual nursery shop, it was pet friendly, and we did have a walk around the actual nursery itself. Then I headed in to check out the shop inside the cottage, which they had the biggest seed collection I think I've ever seen in my life. Then I took you for a tour of the gardens, which were magnificent. And I can imagine how over the different seasons these gardens would change to give you a different look. Then we headed into town where we came across a hat shop, and I was lucky enough to get measured up by the owner and found myself my green hat that I ended up wearing to a wedding later on in the year. I was very happy with my purchase. Then with all that shopping, we were a bit hungry, and we ended up going for lunch at the Blackwood Hotel, which had only just been recently renovated. It was absolutely beautiful inside. We sat out on a massive deck outside and ordered some delicious meals. Okay, so we're staying at the Blackwood Mineral Springs Holiday Park, or actually no, Caravan Park. I got to get that right. Look at Twyla. I give you a full tour of the park, show you around, show you the facilities and the accommodation, and just what you can do around that area. One of the things you can do is go for a walk. There is a mineral springs just outside the park. So I headed there, and then I did a massive walk. Adam and Twyla didn't join me, but I was gone at least an hour and a half to 2 hours, doing a massive walk to the summit and back again. That night, we lit ourselves a fire and sat around it for a little bit before going inside and whipping up a beautiful chicken dish. The next morning, we got up pretty early and headed into town to the post office cafe, and they had a massive decking out the back. They had a little fire burning, which was really nice, and having the smell of that in the background whilst we ordered some toasties and coffees and just enjoyed our time relaxing with a beautiful view of the mountains in the back. All right, in this episode, we are back in the Jimny. Adam is driving at the moment. We're heading across the border into New South Wales to Jervis Bay. We are heading to Adam's brother's wedding, and Michael and Emily. This was such an epic wedding. We stayed at the Woods Farm, and they had glamping tents, or you could choose cabins. Adam and I decided to choose a glamping tent because we are campers, and I'm glad we made that decision. They were so comfortable. They were really great. The first night we got there, they organised a pizza night, so they made pizzas. They had a big cheese board, and we all gathered around and met each other, and it gave time for the bridal party to just mingle with their guests and enjoy their day. In the morning, we grabbed ourselves a coffee. They had a coffee van on site, which was great. Then they had an activity picked, which was to feed the animals that you could join into. So we all went. I think every person from the wedding went there to feed the animals. Got to see different things like goats, horses, pigs, you name it. They had it. So many different animals, and it was just a great experience. And then at the end, they had all the wild birds come down and feed off us. So they literally landed on us and we fed all these birds. It was just such an awesome experience. Then it was time for the wedding. A few little glitches happened behind the scenes, which Adam and I helped fix, but the wedding went on. And if you want to find out what actually happened, you can go back and watch the episode. Adam emceed the night, he did such a great job. I don't even think I could get up there and do what he did that night. And we just had such a fantastic evening, dancing, obviously drinking, great food. And then we topped it off by in the morning, they put on a massive breakfast before we all headed home by the pool. And it just ended the weekend perfect. On this episode, I'll be heading to Yarra Junction, and why I say I will be is because Adam is not joining me on this episode, or Twyla. I'm on my way to pick up somebody to come on this adventure with me. And that person was my good friend Melissa, who always does a twirl for us on our episodes. We started our day off at Oak Ridge Winery, where we did a tasting, and we really enjoyed our time here, having a tasting and just checking out the view and learning a little bit about the wines. Now, before I go any further, there is a little bit of a game in this episode, working out how many different scarves Melissa wore in the episode. If you go back and watch it, comment down below and let me know how many you think she wore. For lunch, we headed to one of the local Irish pubs, which was fantastic. They had the fire going. I got myself a beer, and we ordered some delicious meals. On the way to the Irish pub, we noticed an archery centre, so we headed there next. Mal was my official scorer, and I gave it a go, and I really enjoyed it, and it's something I'll definitely be doing in the future, and have done in the future, and really enjoy doing archery. All right, here we are, Mal. What is it?
Here we are at Dune Reserve Caravan Park.
We stayed in our camper van at the park, and I'll give you a full tour of the park itself. I know how much Melissa loves lasagna, so I made us a lasagna soup in our slow cooker. It turned out a treat. In the morning, we headed to one of the local bakeries, which was very pet friendly. Unfortunately, we didn't have Twyla with us, and we picked up some goods to take home for Adam. We also visited a cheese shop where we picked up a few goodies as well to take home.
Hi,
Where
at
are
the
we?
museum, so at the Yarra Junction Museum.
Yes.
So we're going to pop in and have a look.
We took a walk through the museum and learnt a lot about their history. There was so much to read about and check out. And it was really interesting, especially with the logging in that area. They had a lot of displays on all the logging and the equipment they had. And you could even check out the old train station while there. On this episode, I'm going to be doing something completely different that I've never done before on our channel. I'll be heading out solo camping in the Jimny. No tent. I'll be sleeping in the Jimny itself. I'm going to find myself a free camp spot. So I ended up at Murray River Reserve, which is literally a 10-minute drive out of Echuca on the Murray River, one of my favourite places to camp. And it was very, very boggy at the time. So thank God I had the Jimny, not our van, or I think I would have been in strife. I found a really, really nice spot that was on the bend of the river, and it was just such a beautiful spot. As soon as I got there, I got my fire going because I was going to cook up something in the camp oven that night. And then it was time to get the Jimny ready so I could sleep in it, convert it into a camper van. Well, maybe not quite a camper van, but with the help of a blight mattress and a blanket to level things out a little bit, I managed to turn the chimney into a sleeping quarters. Check this out. How good is that? For dinner, I made a toad in the hole. I made some friends with some local birds, and I whipped up this dish. It took me a little while to make. I definitely got the result that I wanted, and topped off with a bit of gravy. Ended up turning out perfect. Then it was time to snuggle in to the chimney and sleep in it for the very first time and see if this was actually going to work out. I give you a little bit of a tour inside my boudoir. Anyway, in the morning, got up, I slept really, really well. Then I decided to do a little bit of archery before making my breakfast. And I just had a really great time doing this trip, and I definitely would love to do this again in 2026.
We're in the town of Charlton, which is around 2.5 hours, 3 hours northwest of Melbourne.
So we arrived to the town pretty late, but we had ourselves some dinner, and then I got up in the morning. I'll show you around the caravan park so you get a full tour. And then we were headed off to get ourselves a coffee, and it just happened to be that outside of the actual caravan park itself was a coffee van. So that's where we started our day. We got to meet the owner of the coffee van, and she even gave us 2 beanies to keep our heads warm whilst we were visiting town, because she knew how cold it gets there. And they made puppy chinos, so we definitely had to get one for Twyla. She loved it. She thought it was great. Then we'd give you a full tour of the town. We'll take you through all the different shops they have there and things you can do. We loved visiting Charlton Vintage. They had some great pieces in there, and I even picked myself up something to take home. Adam and I love Art Deco buildings, and we wanted to go see the Rex Theatre they had in town. This was unbelievable, and we even got to go inside and take a look of the theatre itself inside. We definitely had to head to the bakery for lunch and picked up some pies. I think Twyla wanted the pies more than we did, but they were quite nice. And then, since we're on the subject of food, that night we had a great dinner at one of the local pubs. We got to meet a lot of the locals at the pubs. They're all so friendly, and we learned a little bit about the history of the pub itself. All right, I've just come down to the Golden Grains Museum. About to go in. Look how beautiful this building is. I'm going to head inside. It's only $5 to go in as an adult. I was lucky enough to have a chat with one of the locals that was a volunteer here, and she told me a lot about the history of this museum, including it being flooded out, and then they had to build it from the ground up again, getting the sponsorship. You can see on some of the pieces they had the watermarks of where it did flood, but it was just great to see a town pull together to bring their museum back to life, and it was a really enjoyable one, and definitely worth seeing if you ever come to town. In this episode, we're heading to the National 4x4 Outdoors Show. This was the very first time going to this show for us. We just want to take you through and show you what they had at the show, from pop-up tents to converted four-wheel drives that were pimped out like you'd never seen before, and there were some absolute massive beasts at this show. We met the owners of Cheeky Kids. They do a bit of equipment for four-wheel drives, plus they had these awesome mugs that we ended up picking up too, and they were selling coffee, so we definitely wanted to grab some of that to give a go. Then we headed over to the demo section, where they were doing demonstrations on how to get better traction and to get up a hill, and how to go on a four-wheel drive track and how to do it properly. We actually learned quite a bit. Then one of my favourite things we saw at the show were these army trucks that had been converted. They were huge. I can imagine the places you could go camping in one of these. Then we got to walk through a whole heap of four-wheel drives that were all set up in different ways, from rooftop tents to just setting up beds inside. Some were really basic, some were over the top. We loved it. We loved checking it out and seeing all the different types they had there. We spent a whole day at the show. We came across this portable sink. We got a demo on it. It was really interesting. This had come up on my Instagram and I thought I'd love to get one of these. So it was just good to see it. It all packs away and it comes with everything. It's got a little pump. You can pump the water into it. You set it up like a kitchen. I'd love to get one just to throw in the chimney. We really enjoyed the show and hope to go back next year. All right, guys, I'm going to interrupt the episode for a second. If you want to see any of these episodes in full length, you can just go to our channel, scroll through until you find the episode, or you can, if you want to make it easier on yourself, go to Google, put King Dino's Adventures in, and then the name of the episode, and it should most likely bring it up. And guys, also, whilst you're on your phones, if you're watching this on your phone, please remember to hype the episode, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. It all helps the channel grow. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We hope you enjoy the rest of the episode. Welcome to our road trip. We are heading on a road trip, which I'll tell you a bit more about soon. We've just hit Aroa and I'm about to head to their bakery. They had a huge selection, but I stuck to the good old meat pie for breakfast. Pretty bad, isn't it? Then it was back on the road and across the border over to Albury. And this is where we stopped to get petrol and found this awesome market. I honestly don't know how Adam and I didn't know about this place. It's like a Bunnings, but for foodies, for people who like food. It had like wine, cheeses, nuts, milk. It even actually had its own little milk section. Then it had a bakery section. It was just insane. And I could have spent hours there and I could have spent $1 million, but I didn't. I was good. Got out of there, but did pick up a few different supplies. Then it was time to hit the road again and we headed next to Gundagai to check out the tucker box, where Twyla managed to find her own tucker box to sit on. For lunch, we stopped off at Goulburn, where we grabbed ourselves a pie, that's right, another pie, for lunch, and checked out the big merino. We reminisced about the time we stayed in Kangaroo Valley as we drove through the town. That's definitely a good episode to go back to from a few years ago. We stayed in a little quirky hotel, which was pet friendly. That evening, we popped into Michael and Emily's, where we had dinner and caught up with them after their wedding and found out how they pulled up after that. The next morning, we got up early to check out the sunrise in the town that we were staying in, and then it was back on the road to head back to Melbourne. On the way back, we stopped off in Gundagai again, where this time we had lunch at Niagara Cafe. This place is an Art Deco cafe that has been brought back to its original look, and it is amazing. They bake the best burgers. If you get an opportunity to eat here, definitely stop. Adam and I have a fantastic episode on Gundagai where we free camped here and we did eat here another time. So if you want to check that out, you'll have to go back a couple of years, but it was a great episode and we really enjoyed our little road trip up to Nowra and back again. On this episode, we've headed down to Geelong to the Tiny Home Expo. Every year we try to get back to the expo to see what other ideas they've come up with in these amazing tiny homes. It was great getting to meet some of the people that build them and hearing all about their different products. We get a lot of feedback from you guys saying you love us going to visit the tiny home exhibitions, and we see that in the views on how many people actually do watch these episodes. So we like to at least get 1 or 2 in a year, and hopefully we'll definitely be back next year and we will see what other great ideas they've come up with.
So in this episode, we're in Aireys Inlet, and that is around probably an hour and a half from Melbourne.
Our first stop was Salt Brewery. This place was great. It had been around for years, recently renovated, and the beer was great. I got a paddle beers, and also we had lunch here, and I got a lamb shoulder. Oh, it was divine. And Twyla got taunted by this bird that I don't know if Twyla wanted to be its friend or eat it for dinner. After lunch, we headed to the lighthouse, which is a famous lighthouse from Around the Twist, the TV show. I took you up inside as it's not pet friendly, took you right to the top, showed you the views, then eventually came down to meet Adam where we checked out the views from down below. There was some really nice ones. We stayed at the Aireys Inlet Big 4 Caravan Park, which was pet friendly. I take you on a full tour of the park, showing you what their facilities are and different accommodations they had. They had quite a few different types. In the morning, I got up by myself and went for a walk to the lighthouse. I didn't know how far it would be, but it wasn't too far, and it was a really nice walk, watching the sun come up and greeting people as they walked on by. For breakfast, all three of us went out to Mr. T and me. They had a great outdoor area at the back and on the side where we got a seat and ordered some breakfast, and I think Twyla really enjoyed herself. Then we headed next door to the local art gallery where they had a lot of different artists from around the area work on show. You could purchase the art or just go in and have a look around. The morning started warming up, so we decided to go to a pet-friendly beach where we took Twyla for a run in the water, and we took our shoes off and got a little bit wet, but we enjoyed our time at the beach. Because we're at the beach, we thought, why not go get ourselves some local fish and chips and open our back van doors and enjoy a really nice lunch. On this episode, we're going to be answering all your questions you've sent in to us. And that's exactly what we did. You guys sent in your questions. We answered them. We try to do this once a year. And if you're new to the channel, this is a great way to get to know us and to learn a few tips and tricks. So if you missed out sending us in a question, keep hold of it because we'll be doing another one of these in 2026. We do have a few of these filmed. I think we're up to about our 4th. So if you want to go back, you can check this one out and others. Welcome back, Twyla. Where are we this week, Twyla?
Hashtag's buggered. So we're in Camperdown,
We're in Camperdown.
which is just past Colac in Victoria.
We loved Camperdown, and after this episode, we got so many comments about people not knowing about it or driven through it and didn't realise how much there was to do there and see. And we just loved the old buildings. The biggest feature in town was definitely the clock tower. It's right in the middle of town, and there's a great story to go along with it, and you can find that out in the episode if you want to go back and watch it. But we really enjoyed our time here. We had a viewer write to us and tell us about the Loaf Lounge that was in town. This place was insane, and Adam picked up plenty of treats. We had the best toasties for breakfast, and they definitely got the King Dino's thumbs up. We also took a look through some of the shops where there was a lolly shop we really enjoyed, and then up a little bit further, which was a beautiful gift shop where we had a look around, and Adam ended up buying me these little pigs to take home as a souvenir. The whole area was sitting on the volcanic plains, which made for interesting landscapes, including the 2 lakes, which one of them was 3 times saltier than ocean water. Well, I could have those facts wrong, but watch the episode to find out. That night, we cheated with dinner. We brought a souvlaki pack with us that we made up. It was raining outside, so it was good that we had our dinner with us. But before we went to bed, Adam wanted to have some of his desserts that he brought from the bakery during the day. Check out the size of this thing. It's 4 slices in one. The next morning, we headed to the back of the caravan park where we went to the botanical gardens. These were run by volunteers. They were the most beautiful gardens we have seen in a long time. They really look after them, and you can see the hard work that goes into them. We stayed at the Lakes and Craters Caravan Park, which I do give you a full tour, show you around the park. It's not the biggest park, but it's absolutely beautiful. Lots of trees, lots of greenery. They did have cabins and camp kitchen, and most importantly, they had modern, clean toilets. In this episode, we have just arrived to Warracknabeal. The caravan park we stayed in was fantastic. It was right in the middle of town. You did pay a small fee, but it had everything you need, and we had a nice spot next to the water, toilets, showers, laundry. There was a few walks you could do from the park. I decided to do one in the morning. I ended up finding this park that had a whole heap of animals. Anyone can just go there. It's free to get in. And they got barbecue areas. And then this emu took a liking to me. And he was chasing me around everywhere. And I just had the funnest time checking out these animals and getting a photo with the emu. Then I was off to the Agriculture Museum, which was fantastic. It was huge, and we got to see old tractors and farming equipment. We even learnt about different grains they grow around the area and all around the world. There was quite a few second-hand shops in the town that we liked exploring and checking out. That night we took advantage of our view and opened our back doors of our van, cooked our dinner and enjoyed the sunset. The next morning we headed to a cafe for breakfast. Now we found out about this town from two of our viewers that wrote to us who worked at this cafe. So we got to meet them and enjoy a beautiful breakfast. After breakfast we explored another second-hand shop. This one was actually pretty much a huge warehouse full of all different things, from bric and brac, the books, to lamps, to you name it, they had it. They even had a camping section. We've got LaFern on the episode this week. And did you bring me a coffee?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Cappuccino.
Thank you. And where are we heading off to for the weekend, I should say? Well, for one night.
Warburton?
Warburton. Yeah, make sure you get it right, because you get in trouble if you say it wrong. We had a lot we wanted to do, so we thought we'd pop into the bakery so we can get something really quick and fast. We got coffees, I got a pie, LaFern got a pasty. They were just what we needed before heading out on a hike. The first walk we did was the river walk, which is in town, and you cross over a bridge, and then we headed along the water's edge, where LaFern got a little bit risk-taking and decided to walk out on a log, and I was a bit worried she was going to fall in at one point. If you fall, this is going viral, and you'll probably die. Next, we headed out to La Falls walk, which is a nice, easy walk underneath the canopies of the big ferns. It was so pretty. And then at the end, you're rewarded with a beautiful waterfall. All right, so we've made it to the Redwood Forest. Adam and I have visited the Redwood Forest before on past episodes, but I definitely had to take LaFern to see them for herself. They are magical. And there is a few different walks you can do from here, and you can actually visit this on the rail trail also. So if you get an opportunity, definitely go check it out. It is magical, like I said. After all that walking and exercise, it was definitely time to get something to eat. So we found a pub where we picked up some great meals. We both had a little bit of a drink. I had a beer, which I assume we'll regret when we go on our next walk. All right, we've come to Mount Donna, I'm going to call it. As soon as we started this walk, we started regretting it. It started raining and the ground was already wet, so it's very muddy. It was very steep, so we were huffing and puffing all the way up, or maybe I was huffing and puffing. But we finally did make it to the top, where they had a lookout We climbed to the top of that, even though I was very buggered, and we managed to make it to the top. And then it was just a big decision on which way we wanted to go, back down on the road or the same way we came. We ended up braving it and went back the way we came. Okay, so we are staying at Dune Reserve, which we've just gotten here. I have stayed here before with Melissa on an episode not too long ago. We did so much in this one episode. What I've shown you is just happening one day, let alone what we did the next day. So if you want to see everything else that happened, it was pretty crazy. Go back and watch the episode. In this episode, we've hit the town named Rainbow in Victoria. We couldn't believe it. As soon as we hit Rainbow, we got out of our van and a lady came up to us and said, "I watch your YouTube channel." And then she said, "I bet you're heading to the bakery." And then we said, "Yes, we are." And she said that she owns a bakery and her husband watches us as well and he would love to meet us. We got to meet them. We had some of their delicious pies for lunch. And we just couldn't believe what a small world it was. After lunch, we came across this sign on the shop window saying Pala. You could go out and see this old church and organ. You just had to call a guy named Mal. So, of course, we did it. We called Mal. He came into town. We followed him out on a bumpy old road and he took us out to this very old church and then told us that he plays the organ and he would happily play it for us. So he did. They also had a museum that he showed us. Plus we checked out the old homestead before heading back into town and shouting our new mate a beer for showing us around town. He also told us a lot about the history of Rainbow. After our beers, we said bye to Mel and we went and checked out the new silo art at the end of the street where they've got this new lookout that they'll be opening soon where you can get a lift up to the top or take the stairs and see the views of the surrounds. Okay, we have arrived to the Rainbow Caravan Park. This was a great little park and I give you a full tour as per usual. It was right next to the showgrounds, which was perfect because they were going to have their royal show on and we were going to go visit that the next day. For dinner that night, we decided to have a barbecue. Adam had gone to the local butchers to grab us some meat to have. We got some stuff for that night and we even got some stuff to take away with us. The next morning, we headed into the van to go check out one of the nicest pieces of silo art we've ever seen. Adam even made the statement that this was one of his favourite he had ever seen. Then it was time to go back into town and check out the show. All the locals were there. It was fantastic. We even got to see Mel again. They had tractors on display, horses. We played some of the carny games, which was fun. We won some prizes for Twyla. And then we got something to eat and even got to see sheep getting shorn as one of their competitions they have at the show. In this week's episode, we've headed to Dimboola in Victoria. The first place we visited in town was an old bank. This old bank is now called the Imaginarium. It is a shop and an Airbnb. We got to tour both things. One, we went into the shop and had a look around and looked at all their amazing different products. Then we even got to look into the old bank vault, which is now full of memories from the past, and we learned a lot about the history in the vault. Then we even got to go upstairs and check out the Airbnb, which if you do stay there, you'll get to choose whatever themed room you like. There are rooms that are themed on countries and artists. After we looked around, we sat down with Jamie, one of the owners, and had a cup of tea, met some of the locals, and then all of a sudden he brought his pet chicken out that sat on his shoulder. I don't know if Twyla was too keen. That afternoon, Jamie was lovely enough to come pick us up and take us out to the Pink Lake, told us a little bit about the history of the Pink Lake, and also took us out to the Little Desert and showed us the free camping spots out there. The town is now well known for its steampunk festival, and there are so many amazing shops that echo this, like the one we visited. And check out this is amazing. It even had a robot in this shop. And then we went to an awesome vintage shop, which was like my most favorite one I've ever been to. Everything looked amazing, and it just put my OCD in relax mode because everything was perfect. Just like Rainbow, they had their show on, so we went to this. And Twyla was welcome as well. We went around checking out all the different competitions they had running. Adam was mostly impressed with all the baked goods that he wanted to eat, but thank God they were behind glass and he couldn't get to them. On the last night, we headed out to the local pub for the second time. We really enjoyed the meal, so we wanted to go back. I really felt like a Palmer that night. And then to top off a great visit to an awesome town. And trust me, there's a lot we left out of this little clip here. So go back and watch this episode. And make sure if you're heading into town or even heading out, check out the silo art right next to town. It's a great piece and has a great story. In this episode, we have just arrived to Stawell in Victoria, which is very well known for a race called The Gift. You can go to the ground and see where they run the grandstand, and also they have a museum there with all the different winners over the years. We stayed at C&C Park. This place was very interesting. There was a lot of old converted buses that they had for accommodation, plus they had containers turned into accommodation, but you could take your van there and camp. They had cabins. Also, you can do tent camping. It almost had a bit of an army base vibe where it had camo nets hanging up. Accommodation was painted black, but all in all, it was a really cool place. And even better, it was pet friendly. We had lunch one day by the town hall at a place that was serving flavours of Peru. These meals were absolutely beautiful. The meat was so tender, and we definitely recommend if you go to this town, you've got to go eat here. We took Twyla for a walk around one of the parks in town. This park was absolutely stunning, had such beautiful wildlife, had monuments to people that have passed that were great to go and learn the history of. All in all, it was a really nice park, and Twyla really enjoyed her run. We also headed out to their mine. Now, this is still active, so you could only go to the visitors area, but you could see quite a bit. It was very busy, and they actually have a lab also underground here. So it's very interesting to go there and learn all about this. And of course, we couldn't leave town before visiting their local bakery. And you always know it's a good bakery when you see all the locals going there. And Adam, where have we arrived?
We're in Koondrook, as per our cover.
Yeah.
On the Victorian border. So we've got Victoria on this side and New South Wales on the other side.
We stayed at the Murray Waters Motel Inn. This place was great. It was pet friendly. We had a room that we could all be in, and they even had a really nice swimming pool, which I took full advantage during the weekend. It was great because the weather was nice and hot and I could have a swim. 2 doors down, we had breakfast at the cafe, which made it so easy getting up in the morning, just grabbing something to eat, having a coffee, and then we headed for a walk around town. Now, the town was very tiny, but you had the river walk, you had wooden carved sculptures you can go look at, and then we were lucky enough that in town that weekend, there was a charity run on, so we got to see a whole heap of vintage cars, bikes, and they came through, and we got to see them all on show. We jumped in the Jimny and went across the border to New South Wales, where we checked out some silo art. and we really liked this. It was 3 silhouettes, one of an Indigenous man, also a soldier, and a bushman. Then we headed to the Vintage Museum. There was only a small cost to enter. Walked around. There was lots of history, a lot of donated things, and it was run by volunteers. We came back to Victoria for lunch. It sounds funny saying that, but we did. And we went to the Long Paddock. This was one of the locals' favourite places to come. The meals were incredible. It was even better because we were allowed to have Twyla there in the courtyard. Definitely recommend it if you're in town. For dinner that night, we headed across to New South Wales where we got some meals at the local pub. Then we did a walk across the bridge that you cross every time you go from Victoria to New South Wales and vice versa. We got a really nice sunset on the bridge that night. Okay, this week we are in Bendigo. Now you're probably wondering what I've got on.
We're having a fiesta.
We're having a fiesta. Woo! No, we are here to go to the exhibition of
Frida Kahlo.
Frida Kahlo, that's right.
Which is ironic because you've been to Mexico.
Oh no, I've actually been to her house before.
So on this trip, we hired an Airbnb to go see the exhibition, and unfortunately, it wasn't pet friendly. The Airbnb was, but not the exhibition itself. So Twyla stayed with Rob and Laura. We had our friends Monica and Rob come with us, and this episode was actually dedicated to Rob, as Rob had passed away only a couple of weeks before this episode aired on our channel. We all had such a great weekend, and it's great to have those memories to look back on. And that weekend we had a bit of a Mexican theme going, and I decided to make quesadillas for everyone for breakfast. After breakfast, we headed into town and went to the exhibition. The Frida Kahlo exhibition was amazing. They had so many personal items of hers, from clothing to handwritten notes to makeup. It was probably one of the best exhibitions I've been to, and I've been to quite a few in Bendigo. For lunch, we went to Harvest, which was a French-inspired restaurant. We had some really delicious meals. Then just across the road from there, we visited the old post office, which was now an antique shop. That night, we kept the Mexican theme going, and we headed to a Mexican restaurant, which was supposedly the oldest Mexican restaurant in Victoria. We had so many laughs that night. The food was great, and the cocktails were even better. But the fun didn't end there. We headed to a brewery that night to finish the night off with a bit of beer. The next day we headed out for breakfast. Then we headed to the market, which is on every Sunday, and they had so much variety there. We couldn't believe it. Before heading out of Bendigo, we headed to the Elmore Bakery. Now, even this, we went a bit themed because I ended up getting the chili pie just to go with our Mexican theme. I wanted their jalapeno pie, but they were so popular they'd sold out. So we enjoyed those before going to pick up Twyla from Rob and Laura's, who was very excited to see us. In this episode, I took you to 8 free camping grounds in Victoria. That's right, places where you can go camp for free. Some of them were in the bush, some were in towns, so there was quite a bit of variety there. I'll show you if they have dump points, if they have toilets. They were all pet friendly, and give you information about what's in the area. With the warmer weather around the corner, this episode is perfect to go back and watch and find somewhere for your next free camping trip. We've headed to Geelong with our friends Laura and Rob, and obviously this is Adam.
And we're at the Geelong Caravaning and Adventure Leisure Fest.
We were so honoured and excited about going to help Rob and Laura find their new van. They're thinking about hitting the road again, and if they found their right van at the show, they were going to purchase it on the day. It was a massive day. We checked out so many different vans. You can go look at all the ones they looked at. They were looking something for more outdoorsy, and they did find what they wanted. In the end, we even caught up with Marty at MURV too while we were there, which was great. We had a great day. They found the van they wanted. They signed the papers on the dotted line, and we look forward to travelling with these guys in 2026 in their new van.
We have got two guests with us. We've got our friend Melissa and our sister-in-law, Jen.
Now, this episode only came out a few weeks ago, so I won't go right into it. We headed to Hepburn Springs, where we pretty much ate our way through the whole weekend. We hired an Airbnb. It was still pretty cold, even though it was the start of summer, and we used a fireplace. It was a pet-friendly Airbnb, so of course Twyla could come, and we also did a visit into Dalesford, as they are so close together, Hepburn Springs and Dalesford. The Hepburn Brewery was definitely a highlight of our trip. We love having adventures with Mel and Jen, so hopefully in the new year we'll do a few more of these trips away. The Dalesford Market is always a great way to end a weekend when you're up that way.
Well, there you have it. That was the last 6 months rolled up in 1 hour. We hope you've enjoyed that episode. And guys, we're going to be taking 1 week off. So we'll be returning back on the 11th of January with a brand new episode, and we're looking forward to sharing all our adventures in 2026 with you. Also, we want to say a big thank you to everyone who has supported our channel this year, watching our episodes, giving us the thumbs up, hyping our episodes. It really helps make our channel grow. We wish you all a very happy new year, and we look forward to sharing our adventures with you.
We'll see you in 2026.
See you then. Bye, guys.